What if the reason your leadership feels stuck isn't because of lack of talent, time, or resources, but because you're not seeing things clearly? Today, we're learning how to find clarity in those confusing seasons. I'm Chris Moore, and this is Lead in 10, where we look at the leadership of Jesus and apply it to the world we live and lead in today. In Mark chapter 8, Jesus encounters a blind man in the town of Bethsaida. This is the only place in the Bible and the Gospels where this is recorded. Some people bring the man to Jesus and beg him to touch him. Jesus takes the man by the hand, he leads him out of the village, and he does something unusual. He spits on the man's eyes, lays his hands on him, and asks, "Do you see anything?" The man looks up and says, "I see men, but they look like trees walking." In other words, his sight is returning, but it's still blurry. So Jesus puts his hands on the man's eyes again, and this time his vision is fully restored and he sees clearly. Mark chapter 8, verse 25 says, "After that, he put his hands again upon his eyes and made him look up, and he was restored and saw every man clearly." Sometimes as leaders, we get partial vision. We start to see, but things are still blurry. We think we have clarity, but we're making decisions based on foggy insight. Jesus shows us that clarity doesn't always come at once. Sometimes it's a process, and that's okay, as long as we're willing to pause, submit to the process, and ask for that second touch. Imagine a business owner who launches this new service. At first, the idea, man, it's exciting. We're talking about it. Everything seems clear. Our vision of what's going to happen is clear. But once it's up and running, something just feels off. Our team is confused. Customers are not responding like we thought they would. And the leader, we start to second guess. That's one of those blurry vision moments. Instead of pushing forward blindly, the wise leader steps back and they talk to their team. They look at the data. They pray. And sometimes they realize they were only seeing some things halfway. It's not failure. It's a signal to slow down and get clarity. But Jesus could have healed the man instantly, but he chose to heal in stages. Why? That's one of those big questions. When I was in Bible college, sometimes we discuss some of these answers at length because it's not very evident. But here's one of those maybes. Maybe it was to show us that progress doesn't always happen all at once. Even when God decides to change things or move, it's not a snap of the fingers. So maybe sometimes it takes a second touch. In that second touch, that trying to hear from God after you think you've already gotten what you needed, that's not weakness, it's wisdom. Leaders who pretend they always know exactly what to do are pretty dangerous. But leaders who are humble enough to say, "I need some clarity about this," or, "You know what, maybe I had it wrong. We need to look at this again and maybe make some different decisions." Those are the ones who grow. So what's blurry in your leadership eyesight right now? Is it a team member's role, your business model? Maybe it's even your own calling, your own vision of what you're supposed to be doing. Jesus is not just willing to give sight. He's willing to give it again and again. He doesn't give up on us until we see clearly the path that we're supposed to walk. So do a vision check. What areas of your leadership feel blurry right now? Maybe you've got some momentum. Maybe you're unsure of exactly where the momentum is taking you. Or maybe you've made some decision that seemed right at the time, but now you're not so certain. Instead of pretending that you see clearly, I want you to pause. Ask Jesus to give you that second touch. Look for his wisdom again, and look for it in all the right places. From him, from your devotional, from your team, from trusted people around you. Get some feedback. Revisit your strategy. Talk to those trusted advisors, the mentors, the people you should have around you. And most of all, pray. Ask the Lord to help you see people, opportunities, and those challenges for what they really are, not just what they appear to be. So take 30 minutes to reflect. Write it down, journal it about one area in your leadership where your vision just doesn't seem very clear. There's one thing for sure. Without my glasses, I don't see clearly at all. And sometimes it's just putting on the vision to see exactly where it is that we need to go. So do that. Write down everything you think you see, and then ask, Lord, show me what I'm missing. When He clears your vision, you'll see things like never before. Don't move forward until you sense this new layer of clarity. Whether it comes through scripture, wise counsel, just quiet reflection, wait for that second touch. You'll know exactly what to do. If today's devotional brought you clarity, maybe for your leadership or something going on in your life, share it with someone that you see who's struggling through the fog. And remember, if you've got a little blurry vision, it's not about failure. It's an invitation for you to pause, for you to reset, to see with some new eyes. Thanks for joining me on Lead in 10. Until next time, lead with focus, lead with faith, and never settle for blurry vision. I'll see you next time.